people don't realize about avoidantly attached people is that their avoidant attachment doesn't just stop at your romantic relationship. They are also avoidantly attached to their friends. You don't notice it as much though, because when you have a friend that doesn't text you back all the time, that you don't see all the time, you don't think twice about it. But within a romantic relationship, if they're not texting you, if you don't see them, if you don't feel reassurance from them, you start freaking out because they are your only romantic partner. When it comes to friendships, it's like, okay, doesn't really matter if they don't respond back to me, doesn't matter if they're really busy, I'll just text one of my other friends or I'll just call a family member. Like, you have other options. But what does it feel like to be an avoidantly attached person within a friendship? It's uncomfortable because avoidantly attached people have very surface level friendships. So the minute the friendship starts to get a little bit too deep, where both people are kind of sharing personal stories, and it kind of makes you feel like you're obligated to share a very personal story as well so that you're equal, that is very uncomfortable for avoidance. So it's common to find avoidantly attached people within their friendships. They find friends that enjoy doing activities together. Like, that is the thing they have in common, activities. So maybe like playing video games, maybe going on bike rides, maybe going to the gym. It's like you have a friend that you enjoy doing a specific activity with, and therefore when you hang out, there's no like stress or threat that you're going to start getting personal and start sharing all these family stories and like life problems and just emotions. No, like, you are focused on the activity at hand, especially activities that you really don't have to talk a lot. And if it is a talking activity, it could be more like competitive sports talk. So to an avoidantly attached person, it could feel like, yeah, I have friends. Yeah, I have connections. But all of those connections are so surface level, just like their romantic relationships. But the thing is, with the friendship, they do the same exact thing that they do to you within romantic relationships. So they'll find a new friend, feel really good about it. They're excited they can finally connect with someone. They're excited they can finally go to the gym, play some basketball with this person. And then all of a sudden, that person starts to open up a little bit too much. Maybe they're sharing a breakup story. Maybe they're sharing some troubles at work, and they're just really letting out a lot of emotions. When that starts to happen, the avoidantly attached person does not want to hang out with that person anymore. They don't want to play basketball with them because now they feel like they're getting too intimate, too deep, too close, too personal, too vulnerable. It's just like, I don't like this anymore. And it's easy to find another friend, easy to find another connection. So they kind of just don't text them to say, hey, want to play basketball? They just drop that. They don't send any text at all. And when they pull back, when they stop texting them, when they stop seeing them during basketball or like inviting them to basketball, they start to feel safe again. They start to feel like they're in control again, like everything's okay again. But then there's a day where they go to the gym and they're like, dang, I wish I was with my friend that liked to play basketball. It's kind of sad playing basketball all by yourself. And so in that moment, when the avoidant starts to feel somewhat lonely, somewhat sad, and just kind of seeking connection, seeking someone that can do basketball with them or whatever the activity is, they decide to reach back out to their friend and be like, hey, listen, want to play basketball? It's been a while. And they don't have to explain themselves. And the person on the other side, the friend, doesn't have to be like, why haven't you texted me? Like, what's wrong with you? None of that. There's no jealousy. There's no threat. There's none of it, because it's a friendship. It's totally different than a romantic relationship. So you get away with it. And the interesting thing is, you guys, if you're the type of person that receives a text and just is so overwhelmed, doesn't know how to respond to your friend, or your friend asks you to like hang out and you're like, oh, I'll just respond to that later, and you only see some of your friends like once a month, maybe you have some of those avoidant tendencies towards your friendships. This is something I realized about myself, and I was like, wow, I'm really acting like an avoidant to my friends. Like, I'm a terrible texter. I really don't hang out with anyone. And I got to a point where I was so isolated. I had like practically no friends, especially after moving. And so it was kind of sad and lonely. So I decided to push myself, reach out to people and start making friends, and strategically not acting like an avoidant when I was making those friends. So if you feel like you might be somewhat avoidant when it comes to your friendships, these are some things you can do to kind of release the avoidant attachment and lean towards more of your secure attachment in your friendships. I always recommend starting small, baby steps. You don't have to make a friend and share all of your problems with them and get coffee and just start crying and allow them to cry to you and give them hugs and text them every day and see them every week. Like, no, I'm not saying that. Baby steps. So maybe you can share a little story about something that happened over the weekend. Or maybe you can share something that you felt during work. Or maybe you can share what you're planning to make for dinner that night. Something so small that's not going to kill you, but just share a tiny little thing and just see how it feels. It's like you're working out a muscle and you're trying to build that muscle to be strong. So it doesn't just become a strong muscle overnight. You have to work it out. Does that make sense? My next tip is a mindset shift. So when you're constantly thinking like, this is just the way I am, I don't have a lot of friends, I like it that way. When you start saying those things, you are like confirming your identity that you are an avoidant when it comes to friendships, okay? And honestly, I feel like it's very trendy these days to say that, like, I don't have any friends and it's a really good thing. It's not. Having connections and being with people can really make you feel happy and satisfied and fulfilled and just make life more vibrant. So it's not something to like flaunt or be excited about, okay? And if that's where you're at, it's okay. It's just, this will be your wake-up call to really start pushing yourself to make some friends. Baby steps, remember? So when you tell yourself like, yeah, this is just the way I am, I don't have any friends. When you say that, my advice to you is to catch yourself and just reframe that thought. I don't have any friends, but I'm working on it. Just a quick mindset shift like that. Or if you tell yourself like, no one likes me, I don't have any friends, and I like it that way, I'm too busy. If you say something like that, reframe it to, I don't have any friends, I'm busy, but I'm making an active effort to try to make friends. And even though I'm busy, I'm carving out a certain amount of time each month to make it happen. And then this leads me to my last tip. The best thing to do is try to make like a little personal goal for yourself. So if you can like hold yourself accountable to trying to make one friend a month or one friend a quarter, like whatever your goal is, that way you know you're working towards something, not just like mindlessly telling yourself, oh, I'm working towards it, but you're not doing anything. One thing most people don't